Hi everyone, this is the next step of the interview project, and that is really assembling this. I'm using as a model a project from last year with multiple interviews. You're just working with one interview. So you have your interview up here, you've watched it, you've now loaded it in your project, you followed all the procedures for the project folder system, and it's time to make some in and out clips. So let's find a place you like, and you're really listening to this, making an exit point for that clip. You want to use this one segment in your project. Go ahead and make a subclip. We'll call this JR, it's his initials. And it's the first subclip, so I'll call it JR1. And now I can drag this into my project. Okay, so I've taken this big long clip and I've made one little mini subclip. I want to keep listening, and maybe I like this part, and I'm going to make another in and an out point, really deciding what it's going to be. Come up here, make another subclip. This is JR2. What this lets me do is it lets me work with individual pieces without totally hacking this interview up. So I can now move this perhaps somewhere earlier in the project. Let's say I could move this in front of this piece. I could move him over in front of this interview. Okay, so I can do all these things. And that's really key, is being able to make these decisions up here and making subclips. Once you make a subclip, and let's do one more, we can just extend this one way. Clip, make subclip. You're pretty much making a mini version of this. Now I can go ahead and I can make some adjustments to it, but you'll see I can't really extend it in either way because I've really clipped that. I can, if I'd like to, go ahead and split that, and now I can make two subclips, and these I can adjust a little bit, but not very much. Okay, so the razor tool lets you cut things in half, move them around. That's the basic. Okay, so there are a couple things I'd like you to be able to do though with this project, and one is make adjustments to your footage. One of the key things is to make sure you have a good white balance, and the white balance of this room might be a tiny bit different than what was shot. So one of the easiest tools to use is called the Fast Color Corrector. If you're selected on a clip, you can just double click an effect, and then you can work with effects up here. So this effect is probably one of the most used effects in our toolbox, and what it lets us do is change what the camera considered white. In this case, I'm making a wild guess that perhaps this was white. So I'm going to click this, and if I hold the control key down, you'll see this thing gets fat. Okay, I'm going to hold the control key down, and I'm going to click what I want to be white in this shot, and it's actually this little thing right here is what I'm calling white. Now you'll see there was a subtle shift. We became a little less yellow, and James, our subject, gained a little more face tone. Things are a little yellow, now they're not so much. By the way, this little switch turns things on and off, so I can see the effect off. Now I can apply the effect. I can make some adjustments further to this. If I would like to adjust the white level, I can pull this back a little bit. If I want to adjust the black level, I can pull this in. You'll see I have a nice strong black in his jacket and my monitors. Things are really solid. So pulling this in just washes things out. All right, so that's the first tool, and it's called the Fast Color Corrector. When you apply this, you can decide to see just 50% at a time. And let's go ahead and turn it off so remember it looks like this. We can put this slider at roughly 50%, and you can barely see the effect. You really can't see much here. But if I were to make this really crazy, and I wanted to see 50% of this, I would see here's before down low, and here is after up above. Okay? I definitely would not want to do that. I'd hit Control Z and get back to where I was, which was actually there. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is going to be adjusting brightness and contrast. So let me just quickly find a clip that could use a little bit. And for kicks, we'll pick this one, even though it's actually not bad. Brightness looks like this, and you select a clip. Let's pop this up a little bit. Add the effect, just double click. And brightness just simply lets me brighten the whole shot and play with the contrast. You want a nice solid black in your shot as well as a nice normal white, and this shot has it. I can turn things off, look at it before, look at it after. It's actually not a bad adjustment, but for giggles right now, we'll keep it off. So those are two things. One of the key things in setting your shots up, though, is having two tracks. So this is the video track 1, and these are all of my interviews. Anyone talking appears in this track, and the reason why is because I really want to stay organized. You can use up to 12 video tracks, and you work vertically. So whatever is on top shows in the monitor. So if you look at this shot, we have this will fade out of this student, and it fades into me, and then it abruptly cuts to a student working in the field with some firefighters. They're not wrestling, they're practicing their maneuvers. Here you see another solid. This is Holly talking about the program, and it goes directly to a B-roll shot of me working with a girl from last year. And then it cuts to the back of me. It relates to what she's talking about. In this section, Holly is talking about the teacher, which is me, and how I work with students, and so now we see nice shots of me actually working with students. And then we cut right off this again. This shot is lacking one key thing. I hope you notice it. It is room tone. We shot in multiple locations. As you can see, that's firefighting. This is our place. This is the edge of a sound booth. And ideally, there would be some kind of room tone that would cover all of this, because whenever we hear these pieces of silence that we'll pick up right in there, it's going to be noticeable. So before this project's finished off, it'll probably get a piece of music that'll extend the full length so that we can hide that lack of room tone. There are just hundreds of effects you can use. Brightness and contrast, fast color corrector are two of the real key ones. You'll see effects located here in video effects. There are audio effects as well, but so far for this project we really shouldn't need any. And these are arranged by subject. So if we're talking about color correction, which is 90% of the time for our work, you will see all kinds of effects here. They get more complex. We can get into the three-way color corrector, but we won't do that just yet. I will have another tutorial on that a little later. One key one that we tend to use a lot is called broadcast colors, and I'll just show you what that does. You just pop it on. It's now on this right here, and all it's going to do is it's going to make sure the colors align with TV standards. Okay? So that's really three different effects: broadcast colors, which really you won't really need for this, brightness and contrast, and the fast color corrector. So let's start playing with effects, start working with B-roll, and see how things come together. Thank you.